10 films, all from the 80s, all brilliant. And I genuinely mean it when I say you've probably never seen any of these. Not because they're obscure for the sake of it, but because the decade was so loud that these just got completely swallowed. Let's go. Start here because this one, okay. Fred Dekker wrote and directed this the same year he was working on other projects, and it shows in the best possible way, like someone who had 15 ideas and decided to use all of them simultaneously. Alien slugs land on Earth in 1959. Get frozen. Get thawed out in 1986 by college students who are already having a bad enough night, honestly. The slugs crawl into people's mouths and turn them into zombies, and then Tom Atkins shows up as a detective who has clearly seen everything and stopped being surprised by any of it years ago. Tom Atkins. Tom Atkins delivers every single line in this film like a man who has accepted his own fate completely and decided to be funny about it. Thrill me is his catchphrase, and he says it with the energy of someone who has genuinely stopped expecting anything good to happen and found peace in that. Dekker stuffed this with references to every horror director he loved, characters named Raimi, Carpenter, Romero, Cronenberg, and the film wears its influences completely openly without feeling derivative. It knows exactly what it is and commits completely. It bombed, obviously, and Cable found it. Roy Scheider pilots an experimental surveillance helicopter over Los Angeles and discovers the government has plans for it that have nothing to do with law enforcement. John Badham directed this, and the flying sequences are genuinely extraordinary. Practical. Real helicopters doing real things in real Los Angeles airspace with camera rigs that should not have been approved by anyone responsible for anyone's safety. Malcolm McDowell plays the villain, and he does that thing McDowell does where the character is clearly enjoying himself in ways that make everyone around him nervous. There's a sequence where he and Scheider circle each other in helicopters over downtown LA that was shot with actual aircraft in actual downtown LA, and the scale of it is something CGI has been trying to replicate ever since without quite getting the weight right. It also, and this is the part nobody mentions, predicted drone surveillance with uncomfortable accuracy. A helicopter that can read lips from a mile away, record everything, see through walls. 1983. Just sitting there, predicting 2024 like it was nothing. John Sayles, West Virginia, 1920. Coal miners trying to unionize against a company that owns everything. The houses they live in, the stores they buy food from, the ground they work in, and will do anything to stop them. Chris Cooper's first film. He plays the union organizer, and he's already completely himself here. That specific quiet intensity that made him one of the best character actors of the next 3 decades. You can see exactly what he's going to become in every single scene. James Earl Jones plays one of the black miners brought in as a strikebreaker who ends up joining the union instead, and the film handles the complexity of that. The way the company uses racial division as a deliberate tool to break worker solidarity, with a clarity that most political films don't manage. The final shootout is called the Matewan Massacre, and it actually happened. Knowing that going in rewires every scene before it, Sayles made this for $4 million. It looks like it cost 5 times that. One of the most important American films of the decade, and almost nobody has seen it. Not the Will Smith one, not even close to the Will Smith one. Sean Penn, 18 years old. A Chicago teenager whose mistake sends a rival gang member's little brother to his death, and who ends up in a juvenile detention facility where that same rival is already waiting for him. Rick Rosenthal directed this, and the detention facility sequences have a documentary texture that makes everything feel genuinely unsafe. Penn he's already fully formed here as an actor in a way that's almost disorienting. 18 years old doing things on screen that most actors spend decades trying to learn. The violence in this film is never exciting. That's deliberate. Every confrontation has weight and consequence and aftermath. The system that's supposed to be rehabilitating these kids is shown as something that just makes everything worse, with bureaucratic efficiency. It came out the same year as Scarface and got completely buried. Penn went straight from this to Racing with the Moon, and then Fast Times at Ridgemont High was already out. The film that should have launched everything just got lost in the noise. Peter O'Toole plays a film director who gives a fugitive refuge on his movie set by hiding him in plain sight as a stuntman. Richard Rush directed this, and the central question, what's real and what's the movie, who is the director actually protecting and why, never fully resolves, which is either frustrating or brilliant depending on how you approach it. I think it's brilliant. The film is genuinely about the relationship between directors and the people they control and manipulate to get what they want on screen. O'Toole got an Oscar nomination and gave one of the most theatrical, deliberately larger-than-life performances of his career, which is saying something. He plays the director as a god of a small world who has completely forgotten the difference between his power on set and his power over actual human beings. Steve Railsback plays the fugitive, and the film keeps making you question whether his paranoia about O'Toole's character is justified or delusional, and then keeps providing evidence for both simultaneously. It's smarter than it looks. Much smarter. No characters, no plot, no dialogue. 82 minutes of footage of the American landscape and cities set to Philip Glass's score. That's it. And you either connect with what Godfrey Reggio is doing here or you don't. But what he's doing is building an argument entirely through images and music about the relationship between the natural world and the built world and what happens when one completely consumes the other. The time-lapse sequences of cities, people moving through streets at accelerated speed, clouds rolling over skyscrapers, highways at night from above, are genuinely hypnotic in a way that I cannot fully explain in words because the film deliberately works below the level where words operate. The title is a Hopi word. It means life out of balance. The film doesn't explain that, it just shows you 90 minutes of evidence and lets you sit with it. It has no conventional entertainment value and is one of the most important American films of its decade. Both of those things are true simultaneously. Reggio's follow-up to Koyaanisqatsi. Same format, no dialogue, no characters, Philip Glass score, but this time the camera goes to the developing world, Brazil, India, Egypt, Peru, Nepal. Where Koyaanisqatsi felt like an indictment, Powaqqatsi feels more like an elegy. The people on screen are working, carrying things, living, and the film watches them with a stillness that refuses to turn them into symbols or statistics. They're just people, existing, in places that the first film's vision of technological progress is about to reach. And the two films together form something that individually neither quite achieves. Watch them back to back on a night when you want to think about something real, not comfortable, real. John Sayles again, 2 films on this list because Sayles was doing something nobody else in American independent cinema was doing in the 80s and not enough people noticed. The 1919 Black Sox scandal. 8 Chicago White Sox players accused of deliberately losing the World Series in exchange for money from gamblers. The cast is John Cusack, Charlie Sheen, D.B. Sweeney, David Strathairn, John Mahoney, Michael Lerner, Christopher Lloyd. Every single one of them doing serious work inside what could have been a straightforward sports movie and isn't. What Sayles understood is that the 8 players didn't throw the series because they were corrupt. They threw it because the owner paid them so badly that the gamblers' money felt like justice. The film is an indictment of labor exploitation dressed as a baseball story, and it works completely on both levels simultaneously. Strathairn plays pitcher Eddie Cicotte, and the scene where he realizes what he's actually agreed to, sitting alone, understanding the full weight of it, is one of the best single scenes in 80s American film. Completely quiet, completely devastating. Dennis Quaid plays a college professor who wakes up one morning and is told by doctors that he's been poisoned. He has 24 to 48 hours before the poison kills him. He spends those hours trying to find out who poisoned him and why. The premise is from a 1949 noir film of the same name, and Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel, who created Max Headroom, update it to an 80s university setting that gives the whole thing a specific atmosphere of academic politics and suppressed secrets. Quaid is doing something here that his bigger films never asked from him. A genuine physical deterioration that progresses through the film as the poison works, so by the final act he's visibly falling apart while still trying to function. It's a performance built around a body failing in real time, and it's more committed than anything in his more famous work. Meg Ryan plays his girlfriend, and this is pre. When Harry met Sally, pre-everything, and she's already doing that specific Meg Ryan thing where warmth and intelligence occupy the same space simultaneously. It bombed. People forgot it existed within months. One of the tightest thriller premises of the decade, completely wasted on an audience that wasn't paying attention. Okay, and this is the one. If you watch one film from this entire list, watch this one. Anthony Edwards plays a musician who meets a woman outside a diner in Los Angeles at 4 a.m. and falls immediately in love with her. He goes back to call her, accidentally picks up a payphone instead. A stranger on the other end tells him, panicked, terrified, that nuclear missiles have been launched and will hit Los Angeles in 70 minutes. Maybe it's true, maybe it's a prank. But the film never fully confirms which, and Edwards has to decide, right now with 70 minutes left, what to do with that information and who to tell and whether to try to get out of a city of millions in 70 minutes. Steve DeJarnat directed this, and the film shifts gears about 20 minutes in, from a sweet romantic film into something that feels like a genuine emergency. The Los Angeles at 4 a.m. setting, empty streets, diners, the specific texture of a city that's almost asleep, becomes increasingly nightmarish as the clock runs down. Tangerine Dream did the score. It's extraordinary. The ending. I'm not telling you. I'm not even hinting. Just watch it in the dark alone and don't look anything up beforehand. Yeah, that's the only instruction. It made $1.7 million on a $3.7 million budget in 1988, and almost nobody has seen it since. That's the most criminal entry on this entire list, by a significant distance. Frame Time is genuinely going absolutely crazy trying to hit 1,000 subscribers right now. We are so close it physically hurts. If you're still watching and you haven't subscribed, please just hit that button. 2 seconds. It means everything. 10 films, all from the 80s, all sitting there waiting. Hit like, subscribe to Frame Time. We keep going back so you don't have to start from scratch.